Hi, everyone. Great to be back. My name is Sarah Stewart, and I work with the Henry Jackson Foundation for the Advancement of Military Medicine in support of the Consortium for Health and Military Performance, or CHAMP. And CHAMP is a center of excellence at Uniformed Services University. I am the social health scientist with the Human Performance Resources by CHAMP team, and I'm here to talk to you about how you can support your military kids dealing with difficult and big emotions. Before I get started, I want to say that what I'll talk about today are my own opinions and do not necessarily reflect the official positions or policies of the Uniformed Services University, the Department of Defense, or the Henry M. Jackson Foundation. So here we are, getting ready to end March and turn the corner into April. And April is the month of the military child. So I wanted to spend some time today chatting about specific ways that we as adults, parents, other family members, mentors, teachers, or others with military children in our lives can support our military kids in their social and emotional development. And particularly, how we can help our younger kids cope with big feelings. And those feelings might be around changes in their life due to COVID that they might not totally understand or be able to rationalize. Or it could be feelings that they have around changes that they experience as being a part of a military family. But before I really get into that, I do kind of want to take a minute and honor the fact that being a part of a military family, while certainly not without challenges, also gives children some unique opportunities to build skills that not all kids necessarily get early on or get in different ways. For example, if you think about kind of the biggies, PCSs and deployments, right? So let's take PCSing. While it's challenging to relocate, it's also, a chance for military families with kids to really bond together, to see the value in their close relationships. And when they're moving to a place that they might not have those external community ties, they really get a sense of how important those family ties are. And it's also a chance for kids to really practice their social skills and build those skills, learn how to adapt to new environments and how to meet new people. Military life also gives kids a chance to live in different cultures, even within the United States or overseas, learn new languages, and even, try new and different foods. And then, deployments also, again, while challenging, it can be tough to worry about a parent being gone or even just to miss them. But it's also a chance for kids to learn a little bit more about independence. And it's also a chance for them to learn, how to improve those communication skills, because they're really having to kind of work on maintaining, a long distance relationship with a parent often. And the list goes on, but I really want you to keep in mind that there are many positives about being a military kid, more than I could list in any talk here. But I do want you to keep that in the back of your mind as we talk about how you can help military kids in the moments that maybe are a little bit tougher, and the moments that a relocation or saying goodbye or simply growing up just maybe don't feel so great or a little bit hard. So I want to talk to you about a skill called emotion coaching for kids. And that helps your kids learn to express and manage their feelings in a healthy way. And there are really three big pieces of how you can do this. So the first, and I'll go through all of these in more detail, but the first is to actively and purposefully respond to your child's feelings. The second is to validate and honor their emotional experience. And the third is to support them in finding ways to cope with their big feelings. So let's start with number one. Actively and purposefully respond to your child's feelings. So what goes into that? Well, to start, you have to have, some level of awareness about your child's emotional state, right? You have to be kind of tuned into them. So think about, can you tell when your child is upset, when they're disappointed, or maybe when they're excited? Remember, not all big emotions are necessarily bad. So how do you tell those things? Do you read their facial expressions, tone of voice, maybe behavior changes, all kinds of things? And it's okay if you're not completely sure all the time what's, going on emotionally for your young child, as long as you kind of get a sense that they're expressing or experiencing something. And then you can take the time to kind of talk about it as much as their language and allows. But you might say something like, for example, it seems you're having a really big feeling about going to school today or going to your new school today. Will you tell me about that? Or maybe even simply asking periodically, how are you feeling right now? Just to, even if they're not showing necessarily any big emotions, to help develop that awareness for both of you, really. And then also consider using some open-ended questions. So instead of asking, are you excited? Are you mad? Or, whatever the different feeling might be, help kids really get a hand, using open-ended questions and letting them kind of put the words to it helps them get a handle on labeling and recognizing their own feelings. So you can try using a worksheet like the one shown here from hprc-online.org to help your kids learn about new and different feelings. There are so many feeling words, and so it's nice to have a reference point. The more comfortable that your kids get with labeling their own emotions and understanding this differences, sometimes subtle differences in all these feelings, it's a great way to help them start to be able to manage them a little bit better. Another helpful way to respond to your kids' emotions is not only to ask how they're feeling, but ask how much they're feeling it. So doing so can help you and your kids learn to manage emotions by kind of catching those emotions before they get too big and too overwhelming. You can use kind of an analogy like a scale or a thermometer, like the one shown here from HPRC that shows sort of the anger scale. And you can do it with any emotion. So on to number 2, validate and honor your kids' emotional experience. This one is tough for adults because how we respond in high emotion situations often has more to do with our own feelings than it does the feelings of our kids. So being able to sort of sit with our kids when they're sad, upset, or angry without trying to change or rationalize it away is really hard. And it's hard for the most part because we don't want to see our kids that way, right? We don't want to see our kids cry and be upset. We want to say, it's okay, you're fine, and have them run off and continue doing whatever they're doing. Or when they fall down, we want to say, oh, it's no big deal, you're okay. Because it's hard for us to watch their faces when they get red and the tears start falling. But saying, oh, you're fine is not a super validating response. And it doesn't really honor how your kids might genuinely be feeling in the moment. And maybe they are physically fine, but they'll probably be having an emotional reaction, and you want to take the time to honor that. So again, it's hard to also validate our kids' feelings because it doesn't always make sense to us. I have a 2.5-year-old daughter, and the other day she became super upset because this is a common battle. She couldn't wear her clothes in the bath. And I had to really work on it and sit with her and let her be upset, even though that obviously makes no sense to me. And I could have given her 10 or more reasons why it wasn't, maybe worth being upset about. But that's not what she needed, right? She just wanted to be sad because the reality is she wasn't going to get in the bath with all her clothes on. And so the situation wasn't going to change, and that was upsetting. So think about how your kids have maybe reacted to all the different, changes that have been going on in their lives. Maybe how they've reacted to having to wear a mask or stay away from their friends during COVID-19, right? We want them to understand, but sometimes they can't. So we kind of just have to support their feelings where we can, even though it's hard for us. The other piece to be aware of is that when your kids do get to a point where they're overwhelmed with their feelings, there is no way to rationalize or to explain it, right? When they're so upset, their brains really can't access the parts of their brains that they need to access in order to kind of make rational connections. So validating is really the primary tool in your toolkit. It's the best way to kind of de-escalate an emotionally charged situation, and that's true with adults too. But it also teaches kids how to be empathetic towards others because you're modeling that behavior by being empathetic towards them. So number 3, supporting your kids and finding ways to cope with their feelings. So thinking about coping strategies doesn't necessarily happen, in the heat of the moment or right when your kids are having some big feelings. But maybe it's other times when you're talking to your kids, or maybe after they've calmed down, or, even just a conversation topic that you have at some point, multiple points. Talk to your kids about ways they can cope with big feelings, particularly when you aren't there, or ways that you can help them, in getting through some of those big emotions. So again, consider using a worksheet or tool like this on coping skills. And again, this is from HPRC to help guide you in the conversation and come up with ideas for things they can do when they get overwhelmed. Then, the next time maybe your kids have big feelings after you've had these conversations, there's sort of an idea of what to do. What can we do? So maybe you say, let's take some deep breaths together. Or you might say, you seem super excited and you have a lot of energy you need to burn. Why don't we do some jumping jacks together? It's all about problem solving the emotion and encouraging your child to try different things, right? There's so many different ways people can cope. So you want to try different things that they can, maybe make them feel a little bit better and see what works, see what sticks. So those are kind of the top 3 tips for emotion coaching with your military kids. And remember, most of all, that children learn about showing emotions by watching and listening to their parents and other significant caring adults in their lives. So be mindful of how you coach your own emotions as well. And using these tips, I hope that you can more deliberately and purposefully teach your child about healthy emotional expression. And it can help them feel more understood and increase your connection with them. Again, emotion coaching teaches kids that feelings are acceptable and enables them to learn how to better manage them and express them. If you're interested in more information on supporting military kids, managing emotions, or interested in any other parenting and family topics, check out hprc-online.org. Thanks again to everyone for listening. I'll see you next time.